Welcome back to some professional StarCraft 2, the best of 5 finals of the ESL European Cup, better known as the Big Gabe Weekly, because this man, this gargantuan presence on the left side of Data C here, has won more than any other player, and he won something like 10 out of the first 20 to really establish himself, and he's been farming them ever since. Of course, the German Terran. It's Big Gabe. And in the top right, is that a Stormgate logo? Wow, already repping it is the up-and-comer SKillous. Not quite on Big Gabe. I think HeroMarine's still a heavy favorite in this scenario, but what do you think? SKillous has had some really interesting games lately. He prefers the very kind of like tech-heavy style, trying to work in a Stargate, essentially whenever he can, no matter the matchup. The first time I saw him, he was beating Serral with Mass Phoenix, when Mass Phoenix were very much not the meta, much to Roddy's dismay. But we have another Winter Wondercast chill commentary. Still trying to rest my voice while still... You don't want to just come in cold, alright? You gotta heat things up a little bit. Speaking of heating things up... Perfect, nailed it. 2 Hellions. Was there any scouting from HeroMarine? A blind 2 Hellion opener. 2 Hellions can kill the Adapt. And the command center is done. HeroMarine is one of the best players. I know I've barely been paying any attention to the early game, but if you want someone to copy, Big Gabe is probably the one for you Terran players out there. His builds are technical without being overly complicated. It's very clear why he's doing certain things or what he's trying to accomplish. And I mean, if you have any questions, you can make me feel inadequate and just ask him on his stream, where he commentates sometimes these tournament finals in his second language better than I commentate while casting. So, but don't do that. Just stay right here. Sometimes he focuses on the game. And right now he's focused on those Hellions at the natural. 2 shield batteries on the way. I think he's expecting something in the main. Hellion drop in the main. Of course, shield batteries pretty okay against Hellions until they get past that 3, which is enough to kill the probes instantaneously. Nothing revealed yet from SKillous to Big Gabe. He does not know about the Stargate. He's keeping that close to his nexus here. But it's going to be a mind dunk as he slides over the top. Oh, and he spots the Stargate now. The Widow Mines, some of them have already burrowed. There is no armory. One of the mines is able to be picked up. Another one unburrows again. Tries to get another shot off. Burrows in the mineral line. 1 Hellion made it into the main. A bit of a hectic exchange here. The revelation is good, but like you still need... There's not enough energy to pick this up, so... He has to sacrifice probes until he gets another Phoenix pickup there. The mine's trying to get out. So they're detected, but there's not enough energy for another pickup yet, so he has to use the Oracle energy. Now this is one of the most technical openers I have seen. The Phoenixes are chasing the mine into the corner of the map, and will eventually find the energy to pick it up and kill it. So, where does that leave us? Only 2 probes done, a lot of mining time lost, but SKillous now has Phoenix's Oracle. He's got his 3rd on the way. Now, HeroMarine is just slapping down his 3rd command center at his natural. Only now adding on the additional racks to go for more bioplay. Yeah, a little late on the turret as well. That means the Oracle gonna get a surprising amount of damage. You don't, like... That's kind of unacceptable damage, to be honest. As HeroMarine very much knew there was an Oracle in Phoenixes. He just kind of didn't have any defense. The Cyclone locks on, but the Phoenixes break it by picking it up. And now, well, trying to get another lock. Finds one of the Phoenixes, but not the juiciest target. Meanwhile, SKillous is building up his probe count. He's got +1 attack. He has a robotics facility on the way now, but charge is the key point. With mass zealot against someone, mass charge lot, more relevantly, against someone who is later on their production, is just not going to have that many Marines and Marauders. Really, either you need mines, ghosts, or a critical mass of bio. Ideally all three, but unfortunately things don't warp in instantaneously for Terran. So enough charge lots will easily be able to drive back Big Gabes' army. The big kicker here is the Raven. The Raven with anti-armor missile, to an extent, maybe auto turrets or even potentially interference matrix on the right units. Though anti-armor missile is going to be the most relevant against those zealots, which are normally very tough to take down. Alright, the Phoenixes. HeroMarine's army is significant, but not moving up. Remember, he did get the third command center, which means he's not nearly as obligated to move out and pressure the third. Though, scanning and seeing that the third base has been mining for quite a while, yeah, that will inspire a move out as he realizes. I don't know if he realized how quickly SKillous took it, but he's not happy about it. He's got stim, +1, combat, shield. Raven nearly full of energy. I don't think there's anything to feedback it. Raven, there's not that many charge lots here. The warp gates haven't really... Oh no, SKillous' supply block. Nice force fields. Oh, the Raven actually goes down without casting anti-armor missile. The supply block is really rough here. There's a disruptor on the way. The auto turret's actually finding some damage. A bit of a rocky start to this battle. No shield battery overcharge yet. We should have the energy. That's a lot of Marines to deal with. Overcharge, reshields some of those. 11 SCVs died on the other side, I can only assume. Yeah, charge lots. Eventually cleaned up by reinforcements. That's just so many Marine stutters stepping back. The Marauders drawing a lot of the charges. Widowmine still intact. And the back line, oh, Disruptor finds a solid chunk, but the reinforcements. Big Gabe turns the tide and washes away SKillous in game 1. Well, honestly, I thought SKillous got off to a pretty solid start. But, Big Gabe just kind of... He's so methodical. I guess with that much inertia, you have to be. But his unit control isn't super flashy like a Byun or a Maru in many cases. But it gets the job done. Alright, and taking home another ESL Cup is what's on Big Gabe's mind. The Minecraft build comes out ahead as well. I do like the mine dunk over the top. The dropping the mines like particularly unhappy water balloons. Well, they're not water balloons at all. They're just mines. They burrow and then they explode like a mine. I don't know. I was just thinking of... Why am I explaining this? Who are you talking to? Shut up! Game 2. HeroMarine versus SKillous. ESL Cup. I do like... And since we just finished up a DreamHack Valencia, looking forward to casting those games, by the way, when we got the replays. Recommend in the comments. Since we just got finished, players, I think, not really holding back on these ESL Cups. There's TSL, there's Home Story Cup coming up. I guess there's always a tournament. But there is noticeably less enthusiasm for the ESL Cups once major tournaments have been decided. Because a lot of, especially the higher tier players, will not... Well, most of the time won't bother with them. Like, how many times have you seen Serral in these ESL Cups? Occasionally, I honestly don't know why Serral doesn't play anymore. Because, like, Reynor does. And I'm not saying Reynor and Serral are the same person. Very much not. But it's interesting that Reynor will go out of his way and play Protoss, even. And then it's happened before, but it's very occasional that Serral makes an appearance. He deigns to climb down from his pedestal in the mountains and grace us with his presence. He didn't deign it in Valencia, partially because he didn't qualify, because of this man. HeroMarine, shutting him down. Though I'm sure he'll be back. No proxies here. In game 2. TVP has kind of low-key. That's how you say it, right? Low-key become probably my favorite matchup. Like, Zerg versus Protoss is very dynamic. What I mean is some games you get like the hero-style mass gateway, but there's still a lot of potential for that kind of bogged-down quagmire that is the late game. Same is true for TVZ. Like, there's a lot of fun mid-game potential, but more and more we're seeing the late game, which HeroMarine is well experienced at, but honestly isn't so great at efficient casting as well. But TVP has kind of stabilized in the early game. We very rarely see games end like on one base all-ins. I occasionally have max packs versus Byun, but or Clem. But instead, a lot of back and forth 2-3 bases. It's incredibly punishing when you make mistakes. It's still incredibly difficult for both sides. Like, if the Protoss is out of position and EMPs land and they don't quite manage all their spellcasters, well, you're gonna have a bad time. Whereas, of course, with Terran, there's a decent variety of things that can essentially instantaneously end your attack, if not your game. So while it is very cutthroat, very volatile in that sense, I think generally the game usually ends up in that fun to watch, maybe not play, but fun to watch mid game. And even last game we saw some of that, so I expect more. The Oracle watching the Hellion. The awkward thing is here, the Phoenix can't pick up the Hellion, because then the Oracle can't shoot it. But if the Oracle starts shooting the Hellion, it may get away. So, and there's no real point in wasting energy, so they both have to kind of stare at each other and go their separate ways. Cyclone comes out, the Phoenix, bodyguard. Sir, you can't have that in here. Alright, put that thing down, put it down. Okay. Leave the lock-ons at home, sir. And then puts the Cyclone right back outside because, of course, there's nothing to damage it. Unless he wants to hold it there and give it a good talking to. The Hellion, after that entire journey, it didn't see the Twilight. I mean, he's seen the Twilight, but that was not the moment. What was it? It might have been. Either way, he knows there's a Twilight on the way, and he knows the possibilities. Honestly, surprised to see Charge again. Usually Blink is the choice when you're not in a situation where you're about to die. I think the reason last game Charge was picked by SKillous is that he felt like he had to just get a solid army on the ground. Blink is usually the choice when you're more even. And I would say because HeroMarine has killed exactly 0 probes, which is not very many probes, I would say he's in a perfectly fine position to go for the Blink. But Charge is the choice. HeroMarine, he didn't actually scout the third. He's going the other angle. I was wondering if he was going to try to take the off angle here. Because Skillous has a revelation. He tagged this army. He knows where it is. He knows what's coming. HeroMarine realizes, okay, lock on there. Oh, the Oracle may actually die. No, not quite. That Colossus needs to finish. HeroMarine, a split second before the Colossus comes out. But Charge is done. There are no medevacs. The tank is not enough damage to bring down the Colossus, and Charge plus Colossus is enough. At this ground army Ain't have it. Whoa, okay. The Oracle, which was saved from the Cyclone, ends up just dying to the Marines that wandered their way past. Can I talk about how beautiful this map is? Cosmic Sapphire. It's maybe the third or fourth time I'm like, hey, I forgot the name of whoever created it, but they did a great job. Oh, I'm getting old. Is that a double drop? I see on the mini-map. Indeed. The first attack shut down, but medevacs, of course, add another angle to the mix. SKillous is aware of it. He's got some vision, but I think... I think he saw it. He's not only warping in anything, he's got a lot of buildings on a... Oh, no. This...
Who does that?
A lot of tech. A Templar Archives of Forge on a single pylon shut down the Forge itself. Could be slapped down. The gold base in this corner. Denied. The +1 attack. Down goes the Templar Archives. And he, oh my god, he depowered the whole main. Alright, well, this is kind of a total disaster for SKillous. SKillous has no his entire tech tree has been gutted. He does still have the Twilight, but Blink is not done. And this is part of the reason why you usually prefer Blink over Charge at this level. Is because without the Blink Stalkers, HeroMarine can kind of just give the runaround to all these units. Yeah, even a Colossus, the Marauder leading the charge. SKillous retargets the Colossus onto the Marines. But the Marauder! Oh, it's a disaster. This has not gone well for SKillous. Oh no. And then the Widow Mines recharge. That was before the Widow Mines and the drops come back in. But Big Gabe is putting his foot down in an effort that is reverberating throughout the match. Another drop. 4 medevacs this time. This is a finishing blow. This is a drop that is intending to potentially kill. I mean, with an armory done, the mines continuing, Blink is finally done. So, able to drive back the medevacs a little bit more quickly. Thing is, SKillous is mining from the gold. He's got a nice amount of probes. Just past, well, the 70 mark. He's rebuilding his forges in the main. How many times? I'm sorry. How many times? Whew. HeroMarine, I think, a bit of an uncharacteristic F2 there. Or just... wasn't sure if there'd be anything. But loses a medevac, charge lots in the 4th. SKillous. Still a long ways to go. HeroMarine... No, wait, he didn't scout the goal. Will he send one to check? I think he can't really help but move through it. The pathing of the map leads him down that road. So he's going to see it, and he should be able to kill it, essentially for free. Like, the units just show, like, oh! I guess there's a Nexus. And they'll just kind of murder all the probes. Natural. Not looking great. Disruptor. Shot down. Robo itself. Alright, not quite gonna get this, but there goes the 4th. This is just HeroMarine dismantling SKillous right now. Widowmine's still intact. Like, SKillous is doing a whole lot of not dying. But it is a far cry from winning. Yeah, HeroMarine's 77 workers, 2-2 on the way. Adding on command centers because he has nothing else to spend his money on. Where's the fusion core? Wow, SKillous not even halfway done with 1-1. He's chrono boosting, but once again, they're at the corner of the main. How many times? How many times? This and like putting all your Zerg tech especially. Players have done that since the beginning of StarCraft 2. They've been like, you know, the corner of my main has plenty of space to work with, so What's the worst that could happen? That disruptor tanking a lot of shots. One fired. Complete airball. 3 Colossi, though. A lot to contend with. Vikings doing most of the contending. The drops in the main, and who would have thought? Are you kidding me right now? Okay, he's just kind of killing the stalkers. He doesn't go for the second forge. He may just win the fight. Alright, here's the disruptor. SKillous trying to land one of those game, like, series-changing disruptor shot. It would take 1 or 2 of those 30 supply killers. And honestly, disruptors are great if you can take the initiative. But the more you're backed up against your own nexus, the more predictable and easy to dodge. Because disruptors work the best when your opponent's looking the other way. But rarely is your opponent looking the other way when they're attacking your third. Is he gonna drop on the Ruptors? No. He was thinking about it. HeroMarine might be overdoing it. SKillous managed to get a pretty decent army together. 103 supply. The upgrades aren't great. The concave is horrible. And, whoa, all these Archons and the Disruptors are flanked. The shots are fired. No real Disruptor hits. HeroMarine with a 360, nearly 360 degree surround. I'm not sure we're counting Vikings. Archons are just busting through. They have no shields, but HeroMarine actually targeting the Disruptors first. Whoa! He has more medevacs than bio units, at least for a moment here. Another EMP, and those are Archons. But a dream. 10 HP is all they have besides the shields. It looked like, while that HP held, there was a dream here for SKillous to press through. But at the end of the day, all credit to SKillous in being able to put that army together, but HeroMarine is still in a commanding lead. He's got 3-3 to just +1. It is just not happening. HeroMarine is tearing through and knocking out. Another strong game from Big Gabe. It's looking more one-sided than a Mobius strip right now, but it's clear SKillous has his style he wants to play, but HeroMarine, his style's stronger. Like, SKillous kind of relies on these off timings, or at least that's what he's angling towards. What do I mean? That's one of those cast words. Game 3. An off timing is kind of like, so an example of your standard timing is like a tank push. Or when the Raven comes out, you move out with that, or blink, a blink timing. Or in the case of a defensive Protoss, a lot of the time it is with your Colossi, or blink itself. And in going for charge, you get strong when usually you're weak, which is right when that Twilight Tech is coming online. Because those charge slots trade really well with just basic bio units. Unfortunately, though, HeroMarine already figured it out. He knew what was going on, and he was able to outmaneuver it, exploiting the major weakness of Zealots, which is that they can't fly. Or hit flying units. But flying would be cool. Moving on, there's a gateway over here. It's a Max Pax build. I believe SKillous killed Max Pax, and I guess he stole his build. Yes, that's how it works. Only one player's... He stole his build and is now using it against HeroMarine, and it's worked before. HeroMarine, I don't believe he's scouted in this series. Like, his build is so picture perfect. He's essentially the Terran I make fun of in Diamond, which is... I don't scout because I need these extra 60 minerals in order to make sure my build is 3 seconds quicker, so that way I can finish my bunker in time for an Adept or something like that. Which pretty much HeroMarine and a single-digit number of other Terrans are justified in that argument. And honestly, there are still some arguments against it. Because HeroMarine is Yeah, the Reaper is going to be the first scout. He's going to get to the natural. And honestly, this isn't even that weird of a Nexus timing. It's a little weird. But on the bright side, he didn't expand on the low ground. Wow. His cheese senses were tingling. I mean, 2 Zealots on the way. The Reaper microing. The probes have to be pulled. This all kind of just comes down. The reactor! Oh! Well, they're inside the house. Well, now what? A Hellion comes out, but like, one of the worst possible positions. The SCVs surround. The Reaper dies. That's actually a huge deal, but SKillous right-clicked on the command center. Neither side able to keep track of exactly everything. HeroMarine should... Yeah, he should be fine. That could have been way worse for him after losing that Reaper, but I believe the Reaper was lost at the same time as he was microing to kill those Zealots. So at the end of the day... Wait, did he see that recall? We see the animation. I'm not sure if that was observer cam or not. The Hellion, he does have to recall the Stalker because he literally has no other units. So otherwise he'd be in the same scenario as with the Reaper, except with a flame car, which is not something probes really want to be chasing down. Wow, okay. Ends up escaping. And, now what? This is weird. So HeroMarine has a second command center, and he's landing it at the natural. SKillous has a Twilight on the way. I would say HeroMarine overall has a pretty good position, but getting that Nexus so early is going to give SKillous quite a nice probe count. What he's going to be lacking is production, as half his gateways are at HeroMarine's third. No. 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 Stop. Stop. Oh my god. He just drives in. He gets in, he sees the Twilight. Oh god. That first, like, that's so demoralizing. As SKillous, you have to be quite unhappy with that. And of course, as a top tier player, you get over it. But at the same time, god, really? The Hellion gives it away. And yes, it could have been it was likely to be a Twilight. But that, like, 10, 15, 20% chance it's not. And I don't know, maybe it's a Stargate or a Robo. Yes, I list off the other tech options. But if it ends up being like a Void Ray build or something, you want to know that, because if they have 3 or 4 Void Rays, tanks aren't so good. But a like 2 HP, it was 7 HP Hellion gets in, spots the Twilight, confirms the tanks were a good idea, and now we're gonna have to find out where HeroMarine wants to go next, because he's gonna have Stim. The question really was, do you move out with it? And he didn't scout the third, but this is about the strongest timing he's going to have until the medevacs are finishing up. Unsiege tanks have more DPS than siege tanks, just in like a 1v1. And of course, they can move and attack. No longer can tanks fly. Beautiful days, though, for Terran. That single Marauder adding a lot to this army. Honestly, the Stalker's taking a lot of damage. HeroMarine really gambling that SKillous didn't invest heavily in gates or get charge out in time. And that gamble's gonna pay off. I think he needed to move out here anyways, as you can't risk your opponent patting himself on the back with that shield battery overcharge, but the DPS of the tank's just too damn high. Well, here comes everything. The shield battery overcharge. He actually blinks in the face of the tank so they can't shoot at the stalkers. Oh.
What a save!
SKillous. The series on the line. He's back up against his own Nexus. His Nexus patting itself on the back with that shield battery overcharge. And he slaps back. He blinks in to the safest possible spot, which was directly in front of the siege tanks. And he turns this around. Now warping in more charge lots. HeroMarine actually doesn't have that much army supply. Has to stim again. The first medevacs are going to help out a lot. +1. +1 is done for Big Gabe. The Forge only now being added on. A little bit of a safer location than the previous game for Skillix. Skillix? Skrillex? Ah, because we're dropping the base. Oh. At least his base gets dropped. Either way. Whatever works. Whichever one was more clever. Meanwhile, concussive shells finishes just in time. Everything going Big Gabe's way. Meanwhile, oh my god. The oldest trick in the book. He gets him with a force field on the ramp. Another one, he tries to drop in, but alley-ooped into the stalkers. What a play. And finishes the command center, to which SKillous immediately kills HeroMarine. Just like that, bamboozled. Outmaneuvered. Scan spots the observer, the warp prism almost walks into it. Only 2 medevacs left and they're out of energy. Big Gabe, he lost his 3rd command center. SKillous has a 4th nexus. Now, I'm not a mathematician.
The numbers don't lie, and they spell disaster for you.
If this Widowmine drop doesn't do some critical damage, this is a very difficult scenario for Big Gabe. Yes, he has a large army. But he didn't actually... Oh, wow. He recalled the Stalkers, but it was too late. He will still be able to blink out. This actually dried the entire army back. It allowed HeroMarine to clear up his 3rd. Does he see? Oh my god, the prism just barely out of vision. Spots the 4th mining. The medevac did a full tour of the main. Army supplies about even. The boys are pulled. HeroMarine out of options. The rest of the boys have to be pulled at home. Blink Stalker's doing what they can. SKillous knows all he has to do is buy enough time now. The force fields, you can't go through there. The sentries keep the gates. +1 attack is 10 seconds out. A big damage boost, especially in clearing those SCVs. SKillous fighting. The lines are drawn. Widowmines do as much damage to Terran as Protoss, but the Zealot line has been dismantled. The medevacs are running out of energy. Just Marauders left over, but the Concave is about as good as it's ever gonna get. Widowmines firing from the back, and so... Is he doing it? The Zealots were stuck behind the Stalkers. HeroMarine picks up. This got a little closer than it needed to be. Liberators intact. SKillous still with his economy. HeroMarine slowing down here. In the more medevacs show up from back at home. The reinforcements have arrived. SKillous is... It looked like he should be able to hold, but here we are. Big Gabe, with very little economy left, is rallying everything to the front. He's still on the clock, but he bought himself a lot of time with how well that fight went. Oh, the overlapping, the Venn diagram of freedom, the blink stalkers. They blink in, as they do. And HeroMarine types out 5 Gs. Not quite able to turn that one around. And that means SKillous will hang on. It's not going to be a clean sweep. Not this time around. Instead, we're going to Moondance, which is a very different map in the new pool. Pocket base, a huge cliff for things like tank pushes. Essentially a free 3 bases, but honestly, I don't think in this matchup, I don't think you can consider it free. SKillous puts one on the board. We go to game 4. I mean, he did kind of have to pull one over on Big Gabe. He hit him with the Max Packs build. This time around, Big Gabe slaps back. He's going to get himself a Proxy Rex. And, I mean, he's got 2 tries. I don't think I'd be a huge fan of just facing off against Protoss on this map. As with that pocket base at the back, while you're vulnerable to drops, it makes it much easier to take a relatively safe third. Even though there's only 1 gas and 6 mineral patches, that early third is usually the focal point of early attacks. And being able to take it at that back pocket means you're much less vulnerable, as the only angle is either from the air or directly at the front. Also, of course, an eye for an eye will leave the whole world needing at least scans. As that was one of those builds that if HeroMarine just decided for the first time, he just on a whim decided to SCV scout, SKillous would have lost. Like, with enough time to either build a bunker or just not have the reactor in the wall. And also, part of another reason, I don't know if that's why SKillous did it, but on that side of the map, the reactor is in the wall. Whereas, if it was on the other side, the reactor would not be vulnerable, and the zealots would never get in. So, I have to imagine that did factor in. At this level, we do factor those decisions in, mostly to do with add-ons, but in general. Yeah, the Reaper is here. The Zealot was built mostly to wave their side blades around and try to convince the Reaper that it's the most important target. Over here. Hello, sir. Hello, sir. Sir. Get fucked. My life for ire. Yes. Well, that was a mistake. Another nice part about those pocket bases is the ability, like if you want to hide some tech. Something like that, it's a little harder to scout, especially if you hide it in your opponent's natural, which, or pocket. So he's slipping this Stargate into HeroMarine's back pocket. He's like, sir, is that a Stargate you have in your pocket? He's like, wait, what? No, I never built, I can't even build a Star. All right, tell it to the judge, sir. Gabe. Well, we'll have to see. Is there a Widow Mine? Okay, so there is a Widow Mine. I just don't know. Oh my god. Did he think about where that probe went? Oh my god. He sees it. Ah! Does he get a second? But he didn't get a second pylon. But there's... He can't kill the pylon because he only has a Reaper. And he can't move his Widow Mines because he only has a Reaper. So, here we are again. It's gonna finish, right? Like, the Reaper... One Widow Mine down. There's another Widow Mine. I bet there's one in the main. I don't... Like, I know it exists. I just don't... Oh my god, it was the radar dish! Playing Hide the Widow Mine is one of the favorite pastimes of Terran players since Widow Mines have existed. Charges up the Void Ray, but he's got to cancel the charge, otherwise it doesn't move fast enough. This is one of the most awkward exchanges. An Oracle's coming out. A Void Ray can technically lock on, quote-unquote, by... As long as the enemy is moving straight away from the Void Ray, the laser tracks further. That's why it feels like Void Rays have more range sometimes. But when you charge up the Void Ray, you move too slow to chase the Viking. But he needed to drop the Viking away. The Stargate goes down. So, what a mess. Revelation will spot One of the most standard-looking Terran bases, especially considering the shenanigans we've been through. 2 Vikings. What? Okay, now SKillous is the one who has no units. I'm sitting here, I'm like, wait a second. If HeroMarine walked across the map, like if he landed his Vikings, I do love how he just builds the command center. Like, in vision, I guess it's within range of it, obviously. So, a proxy warp gate. Widowmine gets another hit. Wow, what a mess of a series. I do like watching these two play each other. They're both kind of thinking about the next step, but getting caught in the first one. As they continue to exchange... Yeah, the Stalkers aren't happening. The Vikings on the ground surprisingly good with that extra mechanical damage. Widowmine! No! Blink was done about half a second after the Widowmine connected. So that is a disaster. A scan that there's a pylon on the high ground. More Stalkers warping in. He doesn't actually know how many Stalkers, but I'm not sure who's flanking who. Something died over here. Maybe a Reaper or Widowmine? HeroMarine's actually built 2 Reapers this game. The blink... He must have blunked in. So wait, actually HeroMarine's running out of units. Wait, what? What's happening? Suddenly SKillous... Is Stim done? Stim is done. Alright, non-charge lots, just Zealots to tank. The Oracle's firing, Marines stutter forward. 9 SCVs dying, but if they cover to kill the Stalkers, then SKillous, like, he's only got 41 workers himself. HeroMarine is on 3 command centers, 3 orbital commands. That amount of mules is nearly impossible to contend with. Like... On even workers. Each of those mules mining is worth about 5 SCVs mining minerals. And that, yep, that's what that looks like. If we got to put that in graph form, alright, do not hold, sell. Sell while you can. Buy Big Gabe today. BBG. Yeah, this kind of reminiscent of some of the previous games where it just seems like HeroMarine is left with enough. And SKillous is whittled down to next to nothing. So I think we have a clear victor. Not just because they obviously won, but HeroMarine getting the better of SKillous today, and he does claim another Big Gabe weekly. Fun games, but Big Gabe in form right now. Who do you think has a chance of taking him down? And also, what's your favorite, like, broccoli or cauliflower? Alright, so cauliflower is like the cool cousin of broccoli in my opinion. But I do recognize the utility of broccoli. So, like, but you can't put them together. This is important. With that, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Like, subscribe. Ring the bell. I don't know if that does anything, but I'll see you next time. I hope I made your day a little bit better. Good luck, have fun. Stay tuned.